I decided to record down at Shadowsound studio in Macon for a couple of reasons. Joey Stuckey is a good friend of mine, and as we learned through the process of creating his album Mixture, that we work really well together. Joey has an incredible work ethic, a sense of honesty tempered with graciousness, some great equipment, and this new baby grand in a tuned room, which I was really anxious to try out. Turns out I was the first person to record on it, which was kind of an honor. I know digital pianos very well, but I also know an acoustic piano, when well tuned, prepped, well mic'd, can do some things that digital can't. And I tried to take real advantage of it. One example is at the end of songs, you could just let that sound go and go and go and fade off into nothingness. And I have yet to hear a digital that will do that the same way. It's just an incredible sound. So as you listen to the album, put on the headphones and crank it up. Our measuring stick from the beginning on this album was what we called magic. We were looking for takes that were technically well done, but also had the emotional component to touch an audience and audio qualities that would make the piece worth listening to multiple times. Joey once told me after we were 3/4 of the way through the album that this was one of the hardest projects he'd worked on in terms of getting the sounds we wanted and the details we had to keep track of, all in search of that touch of magic. I think we set a Shadowsound record for number of tracks. One of the songs had 70-some tracks on it, between the drums and the keyboards and the multiple takes and the this and that and the other. The solo piano pieces were really interesting because much of what you hear on the album is improvised. On some of them I had a rough draft sketch on paper, sometimes just a Xerox from a hymnal with some notes that I had scratched on there, chords and ideas and whatnot. And in my head, a pretty good idea of the form I was going for. The details, though, the emotional content, the ebbs and flows, the particular notes, the timing, those were all created on the spot. Well, as you can imagine, when you're doing multiple takes, this can be a challenge because every take, and we did at least 3, sometimes as many as 6 and 7, were all different in some way. So some of them were good enough to stash, but not quite good enough to make it on the album. All in all, a very interesting process and just a joy to work with Joey again.